Setting up the
God,
studio.
brother.
I'm so glad that we already started recording.
Okay.
So, Miranda and Hercilio, you guys were able to unite 33 countries in Peru in October 2024, all geared around the Pickleball World Cup, which is pretty insane, to be honest. So, Hercilio, what about like your and Miranda's background or how you guys grew up that like saw an opportunity like this and said, this is a challenge we want to take on?
Well, I mean, personally, I come from tennis, so it's an individual sport, and my parents always encouraged me that I was alone on the court, and they always encouraged me like to see the world and to travel, but not with the family, by yourself or with your team or with your tennis friends. So that's why when I was like super young, when I was a teenager, I decided to go to Europe, and I stayed there for 3 months to do a preseason, and I had no parents. My friends travel with their parents, but I travel myself. So I feel like that independency and like seeing the world, seeing different cultures, interacting with like a lot of international players, told me like Peru, where we are from, is not just our home. Like there's more that goes across the world. So with that vision, right, I came to college, and I met a lot of international players, right? I mean, they come from different cultures, different style of games. I mean, they have different customs. So I feel like I was very curious, to know more about them and where they come from. And with that thinking, right, when I jumped on the pro tour for pickleball, I always wear a Peruvian shirt because I'm really proud where I'm from. And I feel like I was one of the very first internationals, right, like to be on the tour and like be seen like as Peruvian, right, not as one more American player. So I feel like in the right time, the right place. I was able to connect with the board of directors of the International Pickle Federation at the time, where they told me like, "Hey, Arcelo, like I know we are from Peru. You're from Peru, but we don't have pickleball there yet. There's no pickleball in that part of the globe." This is like 5 years ago. So that's when I started that journey and traveled back home, and we created Pickle Peru, and then like we created a foundation, and then of course had the vision of the World Cup. But it has been a long process. We definitely like it didn't have all the answers where we started, and slowly, well, when we were meeting the people, when we were doing this, and trying to like have the vision and mission of the World Cup and the foundation and Pickle Peru, what's next, right? I feel like Miranda and I, we are very ambitious. We are like we are never satisfied on like the things we do, and we always want to take it to the next level and like do something else and do the extra part. And I feel that just comes from my family, especially from my mom. And I feel like we just follow that path, and like now we have the Pico World Cup, which was a great success, and we are really excited for what's next to come.
So, Miranda, how did you get either pulled in or also involved in pickleball? Because Hercilio just mentioned that he was coming from the tennis world, had the opportunity to jump into pickleball. How did you also get dragged into this?
So for me, it was very different. It was actually because of Hercilio. Like I played tennis like when I was a kid. Like I played nationals, all of that. But then I got an accident, so I got injured. I got a surgery on my hip, and then the doctors told me like, forget about sports, forget about walking. Like we don't know if you're gonna walk again. So forget about any of that. And I listened to that. I agree on that. And then I completely changed my life. I forgot about tennis, and then I started doing other things. I was finished high school that time. I went to Europe. I was planning to study in Germany, so I was already like my life was kind of set at that time, and then COVID hit, and then Arcia called me like, "Yeah, I'm playing pickleball. I'm just like traveling like all over the states." And I was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What's that? I don't know what you're talking about." And he's like, "Yeah, you should come here and just like play with me." I was like, I haven't played sports in a long time. He's like, "You're gonna have fun." So pickleball changed my life completely. I went to Florida in 2021, and then 2 weeks after, I was playing my first tournament. So for me, it was like very big changing because when I was a kid, the doctors told me no, forget about like the sports, and with people I have a chance, and I had the opportunity to share a court with my brother and to play professional. Like it was just amazing, and like a dream came true. So I ended up staying in the States, and then for me it was like more to give something back to my country. And Pico gave me the opportunity to travel like all around the States, all around South America, use like um, having those connections, having those networks, like to see the countries like grow in this sport, and they have the opportunity as well. So with the World Cup, it was like just like everything went together at that time. So it was amazing.
Did you have any hesitancies like stepping back on the pickleball court with your injury that you recovered from?
Yeah, like I was like, I don't know if this is like if I can play tournaments. I was like super like worried about it because like I stopped completely like years ago. But that's why I only like play at that time like doubles, not to get injured like in singles or something else. But since the day I play Pico, I haven't get injured at all. So it's like let's go for it.
Did you guys start on the court like playing rec play with like the 60, 70-year-olds at the local park, or did you jump right in to play with some of the pros? Like where did you end up starting?
I stay with the older group, and then make my way to the best players. I was living in Indianapolis when I found about pickleball, and I was quickly introduced to the best players in town. Start playing like in the local tournaments, and then I got a sponsor and start playing on the pro tour. So my transition was really quickly. It was during the pandemic, and then that journey has taken me to over 35 states here, and like now I'm in Florida, in Naples, where it's the mecca of pickleball.
So you kind of just raced over the fact that you came over and got a sponsorship in like a matter of, I don't know, maybe it was a couple months. Like, did you just stumble upon the right place? Were you playing with a sponsor at the time? Like, how did that even come to fruition?
I feel it's just like being yourself on the court, right? You never know who you're gonna cross in a pickleball court. I mean, there are some people that just want to play pickleball, and then that's like their hobby. And there's some people that are business minds. I mean, there are some people that are looking for some talent, you know. And I was lucky to be at the right place, and I met these professional senior pro that had a great connection with the brand, and then he connected me with them, and I was able to get a sponsor by them and being seen and like know a little bit more of like what's the pickleball scene, right? Because for me, the local tournaments were fun, but I didn't know like there was a professional tour, there was a US Open like taking place in Florida. So I was quickly connected. I like saw the vision and I was like, oh, this is fun. This is like just bigger than like playing in a pickleball court in Indianapolis, right? And that's where my journey started. And I mean, like I have been able to achieve a lot of things as a player, but also I feel like my calling was more outside the court to do a bigger impact. And now, of course, I'm so young and I want to get back into playing.
What what year was that, to give us reference, that you came over and started playing?
I started in 2020.
2020? Okay.
Yes.
The reason that I asked that is because, as we all know, like the true blow up was kind of in the middle of the pandemic to after. So I was kind of trying to see where on that curve you ended up lying. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that you got to like top 20 men. Is that correct, or somewhere around there at the
Yeah, I
time?
was pretty high rank in the APP tour at the time. I mean, I feel like I got to reach like top 30 in the world rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I had like a pretty successful career for what I did. I mean, when I tried it out, and then I just decided to do something bigger than just playing.
What to also give us reference for our audience, anybody listening, because I think a big piece is everybody's curious to where people came from tennis and how it actually translated on over to pickleball. So at the time, where were you relatively like in the tennis rankings or competing before you came on over?
And I played some futures back in the day when I was a teenager, played college tennis. So definitely I was like a semi-pro, if you want to call it that way. I mean, transition was pretty simple, but of course you have the kitchen there, like you have to adapt. and I definitely like got me in a time where I had I was kind of done with tennis at the time, and I had like open eyes and open mind to learn a new sport, right? And like I spent a lot of hours on the court. I remember like when I first started, it was like playing like 6 to 10 hours a day. You know, it was all what I was doing, and I was able to connect with like really um, better players than me, but they knew the game and they were willing to like patiently explain to me the rules. And like I was always asking questions like, "Hey, where should I stand? Did I do the right thing there?" And they were always willing to help me out. So definitely that process that now might take a little bit longer. You know, I had it like perfectly like nail it, and I was able to like elevate my game really quickly.
So, Miranda, tell us about that first tournament playing with Hercilio, because I'm sure there was plenty of jitters involved. You felt like that you haven't been in this competitive space for a good bit. What was that first actual tournament like playing pickleball with him?
Well, like my first time with Hercilio was like maybe later because like he didn't believe that I was gonna get to like that level. Because like I remember the first day like we went to a public park like Hercilio and I, and he said like I was ready to play with him, and he's like, no, just go play like with them, with random people like 60, 70 years old, and they destroyed me. I was like, I have no idea what to do. I was like, it's like a new sport for me. And then I started just like learning by myself. And then the 2 weeks later, I played the first tournament, me like a 4-0 mix, and I got fourth. And that was the day Arcelio said like to me like, okay, I think like we can like play together, like we can train. I was like, thank you, appreciate it. So we started like training together. I was super fun. Like we met a lot of people. And the first tournament, it was like weird because I think pickleball like gave you the opportunity to play with your family, like in a professional level, in a high level. Because like I don't think there's other sport like you can do that. So for me, it was just like very special, like very like I don't know, like the emotions were there. Like of course, like we fight like any siblings. Like we're like, oh no, this is mine, this is yours. So like, but it was just like great. Like my family came, my parents were there, and it's like the family reunion, you know. So it was very special to me to play with him.
So Hercilio mentioned jumping back on the tour and playing competitively a little bit. I saw that he decided to also join on over in India to play over there. Is that something on your docket as well? Do you plan on jumping back in competitively?
Yeah, definitely. So I stopped couple like these 2 years maybe because we were doing the World Cup, we were doing the foundation, and I was like modeling at that time as well, like competing in beauty pageant. So I was just like trying to focus on just traveling, like all South America, just promoting the sport, like teaching clinics and teaching like these kids, and that's why I stepped like aside from the tour, stepped like from competitive. But I'm ready to go back. I'm like, we already did the workout. It was great. We have like big plans for these coming years, but I'm ready to compete.
Hell yeah. I absolutely love that for you both. As you mentioned, there's just something about pickleball that touches so many demographics, so many ages. The skill level for entry is very, very low. So you can be introduced to the sport at not only a young age, but if you honestly even haven't played a sport your entire life, you can go out there and have a good time with it. So the way that it's just connecting people, families, countries in this manner is incredible. So Miranda, I'm going to stick with you here. And really, what I want to get into is back to the World Cup. So now you have this idea, which is a big idea. And to unite 33 countries is a massive undertaking. So, with that being said, what was that like first step? Were you like, this is the guy I need to call, or like, this is the people that I need to bring together? Like, what was that first step to really start bringing this into motion?
Well, I think that's like a question for Arcelio because like Arcelio
All
was
right.
the guy like he had the idea, and I was like, okay, we need this to work.
So, Hercilio, we're going to move this on over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely when I was named the World Pickle Ambassador for Peru, but also for the region of Latin America. I mean, to give you a little bit like backstory, when we created Pickle Peru, we had all the legal papers for the association, and we were registered in the Ministry of Sports back home. And I mean, we did everything step by step by the book in order to become a federation, and of course get the Olympic path. Okay, so we had a whole team that took care of that, and we start replicating and putting those efforts into growing the same what we are doing in Peru, but also in like our neighbor countries. So I was the one that started those relations with like the leaders of these countries, right? And I was like, hey, you should do this. I mean, do you need a lawyer to do the association? How can we help out as Peru? So we translated all the rule guides, I mean, the referee rule books in Spanish, right? Because they were having a lot of trouble learning the rules and like learning the right way to play pickleball. So of course, if they have a question, it's like I'll put my phone there and like they will call me and say, Hercilio, I have a question for the rules. I have a question for this. Like, how do you get connected with the Ministry of Sport? So that's like the back work we did, you know, in order to just solidify pickleball as a national sport or in those countries, right? So when we were doing this, right? I mean, of course, we had the idea, okay, like me playing on the tour at the time, I was like, well, I mean, eventually we have to do these tournaments and we have to do like competition because like the community is gonna grow, right? I mean, at the beginning, we were like 4 players with like me with my temporary net, choking the course, trying to explain the rules to someone, right? And then like little by little, like people start joining. I mean, we try to find places where we can put the nets. We can like, I mean, then after choking, right, we start taping, right? And then eventually we get like to paint some courts. But I mean, nobody knew about it. And if you know something about South America, it's like it's really hard. There's so much talent, but there's not many opportunities, you know. So it's a really like tricky scenario, you know, like, and of course coming with a new sport, like what they're doing here. So we receive a lot of no's, but I mean, we move our way around to start doing it like organically without asking for any help. So I feel like, I mean, the help I had was my family, you know, and like slowly we start becoming a team. And I feel like with that mission, right? When we start doing this, right, people felt what we were feeling on the court, right? Which is like, I'm happy, I'm excited, I like to make new friends, like I'm having a good time. So we want to replicate what's happened in the States into Peru, but not as a tennis sport or golf, right? Where it's like a country club sport, right? In South America, to play tennis, you have to become a member of this country club, right? It's not like you have public courts and you can play and you can be successful. So with pickleball, we did the same. And with that being said, like people fell in love with the sport, but where we were going, people didn't have the resources to get the equipment, you know? So that's when the foundation started, right? That's when we decided, okay, like there's something bigger that we can do. We like a paddle and a ball is not going to stop these people to not play the sport that we all love. So that with the foundation, we started donating the paddles, the balls, the pickleball equipment we need, and we start going to the schools and going to like low-income communities, and also we help the community of para athletes. So with that, we replicate that we start traveling right to some countries in South America, introducing the sport, doing free clinics, and like we put like we did our little help, you know, to start the ball rolling in those countries as well. So when the community after 2 years in Peru started and grew so much, right? It was like, okay, we are ready to do our first tournament, but we want to do it right, right? I mean, like some countries, like they just play for a month and they are ready for a tournament. Now we took 2 years in order to develop this strategic plan. So after the first tournament, we realized that there were people from Ecuador, Mexico that came to Peru just to play that national tournament, you know? I mean, of course, we separated the Pan American Games venue. I mean, like the venue was a velodrome, and it was like the best venues that you can find in America nowadays. So definitely, like we did it right. We brought like one USA pickle referee. I mean, we bring futures or extras. You know, we did the extra that any other tournament in America hasn't done it, right? Besides, of course, the United States. So it was all new. It was all well run, well operated, and we saw this like international players that were coming. I mean, they were probably like 5 or 10, but for me, it was like it meant like, wow, they are coming from this far, to play in Peru. So my team wanted to kill me at the time because they were working for a month non-stop in order to develop a pickleball tournament. You have to think that this my team have never been in a pickleball tournament before. They barely know the rules at the time. They don't know how to run it. They don't know how to operate. I mean, they're basically like they have just finished school and they are entrepreneurs, right? And they like to do something new and like that motivates them. And of course, with pickleball, they find that, but they haven't been sleeping for a month. Like they have been like learning, like trying to do this, and like it's all in our heads, right? Miranda's head. It's like, how do you like transmit that knowledge or do a practice, before the event? It's like you just have to learn on the go, So definitely was like some weeks where we didn't rest much, but I mean we had the success. So when we were finishing the last day of the event, I called my team and I said like, hey, I know you guys are tired, but we have all the players that are willing to grow this community. We should announce our second tournament. And they were like, Hercilio, no, like give us a break, It's like, but they're here. I mean, they're gonna sign up, like it's like we have the people here that are willing to play tournaments. Like we should just do it. And of course, I get a lot of no's, but I'm a go-getter, So I'm like, okay, let's just announce these dates. We're gonna figure a venue. We're gonna figure it out like as we go. So we announced that second date for the tournament, right? And then the national tournament. And we went back home. I mean, everybody was happy. I mean, we was having like a lot of like comments. People like buy the Pickleball Peru merchandise. They were here in the States. They start like social media started like a little bit blowing up. And we were just like on a weekend. But I was living with my sister at the time in Florida. And of course, our main goal was to do an international tournament at some point, right? It's just like definitely like pickleball at the time wasn't there. But I was like, Miranda, I feel like it's time now, It's time to do an international tournament and like do this like really big. We had, I mean, like a little less than 12 weeks before the date of the second tournament. And I said like, I feel we can do the Pickleball World Cup. I feel like we can have 6 countries and we can put an event plus Peru. We can televise it. We can just make pickleball bigger. South American people are playing, and we can just show the world that it's like this is gonna grow, right? I mean that's first idea, full idea, and Miranda just like look at me and say like, "You're crazy, Who is gonna go to Peru within like that short notice?" I mean, like, I don't believe in you. I mean, they were already against me for the second tournament. I mean, doing something international, of course, was a bigger deal, And I was like, no, like, I believe in it. Like, look. So I called 2 people from 2 different countries, and they were like, Hercilio, that's the best idea someone can ever tell me. I mean, you're a genius. We are in, And then I was like, Miranda, look, like, it's like, we can do this, We just have to commit to it. So that's when with like a 10-week window, we announced our pilot cup of the Pickleball World Cup,
What year was that at the time?
2023. So the first tournament that we did as Pickleball Peru was in August of 2023. The next tournament was in November 2023, but this was already like September. And I started calling the people I knew, the people I connected, the people I helped out, at that time. And we just like decided to go with it, I called my team. My team was like kind of not happy about it at that time, Instead, like they were like, it's like I get that you're a dreamer, but I mean like this is pushing it a little bit, especially at the time that we were where the association was just very premature, for what we were trying to do. But I believe in it. I feel like, I mean, like definitely like when I play on the professional tours or any tournament here in the States, I always felt like I was playing for me. I felt like there was a bigger purpose, and I felt like like if they told me like, hey, they want to play in the championship court, like in the biggest tournament in pickleball that exists today, or you tell me like, hey, would you like to play for Peru in like in any tournament, I will choose to play for my country, like every time, So with that idea, the mindset of a player, like we decided to start developing like all the process and all the formats and like everything. Of course, we hired like professionals that know how to develop this, and they have been able to help us through the whole process, and that's why the success of the Pickleball World Cup. And we started preparing from it. I mean, basically like every single idea we had, like we were just like trying to nail it. I mean, trying to put in every single scenario, so there was no confusion. And that's when we said, okay, I think we are ready. So of course we were expecting 6 countries, 14 show up. And we were like, whoa, like this is like way bigger of what we thought,
What do we
And
do with all these players?
yeah, the first Pickle World Cup happens on a taped courts with temporary nets, in a floor that is basically a convention center floor, which is kind of a sleeper. But you have no idea, like the environment, like the crowd. I mean, it was the best tournament they have ever played, and it didn't have in the nicest venue or the nicest courts or the perfect nets. Everybody was having fun, wearing their national shirts. I mean, they were dancing. They were like, I mean, just like playing pickleball, and I feel like that's what pickleball is, And I feel like sometimes we lose that a little bit, here in the States. But I mean, that's what I mean. Pickleball got me right, and I got hooked, and I was able to like, I mean, change my life completely, and also like my family. So yeah, I mean, like the rest is history, right? Once we saw that, I mean, I made the biggest statement to my team, and I said like, I knew it, like we did it, and they just like saw the vision, and of course I pushed again, and I said, hey, now we have to do that pickleball work, and that's when like they supported me like day and night, and I mean we were able to pull this project that it's amazing. I mean, like this is basically like what I do full time now, and I mean I enjoy every second of it, and I wouldn't change nothing. I mean, it has been a very stressful journey, because like at the time I didn't have the answers, and like I had a big job here, and I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. So I called my parents and said like, hey, like mom, dad, I'm going to go back to school to do my second master's because I need to figure out what I'm doing with my life. So I did that. And when I graduated, I mean, I had a really good job here. And I saw the growth, and I said like, mom, dad, like, if you let me, like, I would like to quit and I would like to go full time in what we were doing. So, I mean, like, it's just like a story of, I mean, like, very many ups and downs, I mean, like, I've learned so much through the process. And I mean, there has been like no nights of sleep, like, no nights where a lot of like days where I have been wanted to give up, but I feel like what we have done is priceless, and I wouldn't change any second of it. And especially doing it with my family, for me, it's just like the biggest win I can ask for.
I think anybody watching this or even listening can hear it in your voice. I mean, me watching you, I see you light up like a Christmas tree talking about it, right? Big old smile on your face. So I can see the gratefulness that you have for your team to really support you in getting where you are today, and just how much you absolutely love this sport. So to summarize that a little bit for our audience, anybody listening or watching, can you give us the kind of like sequential timeline between like Pickleball Peru, the foundation, and then the actual World Cup itself?
Yes. So 2020, I started playing pickleball. I mean, 2021, that's when we created Pickleball Peru. If I'm not mistaken, that was around April. And then after that, we're joining our efforts to um, develop this in South America. Then by beginnings of 2023 or ends of 2022, Miranda 2022, that's when we created the Cabieses Foundation, right? And like, well, Miranda kind of had a bigger story on that, right? I mean, like she had a slogan. She was like very involved in like the development of the foundation, where we want to go, and like what communities want to help out. And then with that, we were like in two separate things, but aligned. Like we just didn't know how to like put them together. So, and then the Pickleball World Cup basically was created. I mean, we had this idea since the beginning. It was just like, of course, we didn't have like the name, but we knew the concept that we wanted to do and develop. I mean, like that was like our lifetime goal. Besides, like of course, getting to the Olympics, and that idea was born before like doing the first tournament in Pickle Peru. That was probably 2021 when Peru applied for the Bangladesh Cup, which was like the international cup of the International Federation at the time. And then in September 2023, that's when we announced the first Pickleball World Cup, like the pilot cup, the proof of concept.
So Pickleball Peru was really that first step, not only outside of the United States, to really pull, those South American countries together to actually compete in something, but then also bring it internationally, where we're including the United States and actually other countries that you didn't even think were going to join. And then that really developed into something much more, which was this amazing event, which was the Pickleball World Cup in 2024. There's a piece in between there, though, that I'm going to switch over to Miranda here for. And he brought up your foundation. So the reason that I ask about that is because you clearly saw a gap. Something was missing around working with Pickleball Peru, even though we ran into each other too at the U.S. Open, the Pickleball U.S. Open in Naples, and you guys were kind of like hosting the para pickleball there, and which was really, really cool to watch. I mean, these individuals are athletes, man, what they're doing out there. So you clearly saw a gap of something that you wanted to kind of close or do with the foundation. What was that gap that you really wanted the foundation to cover?
It's just like the beauty of the sport. Like the beauty of pickleball is that everybody can play, and we sometimes forget about it. So I think like pickleball changed like a lot of lives, like mine, and we forget about the future of the sport and also the para athletes, the para pickleball. And that's why this foundation like comes through, because like me, I was a kid, I was like, I couldn't play sports, the doctors told me no, so my dreams like it went to the trash practically. Like I never gonna play sports again, and that's why these foundations want to focus on the kids, the youngs, and the para athletes, because like there's a lot of like the para athlete community. It's super big, and we forget about them too. And they can also play pickleball, and pickleball is just like uh, transforms like so many lives, and that's why with this foundation we want to give back to all these people. And our slogan is like one ball can change a life and one life can change the world. So every single ball we give to these kids, to these people, or every single paddle is just like a new opportunity for them. Like maybe they're not gonna be like the next Ben Johns or the next Annalie Waters, but they can have so many opportunities for sports. And for them just like a smile, like 5 minutes with the paddles is just like forgetting about the reality. It's just like amazing, and you don't put a price on that. So we knew like these foundations like aligns with everything like Pico Peru with Pico World Cup, because we want to give back to all these countries, to all these people. For example, like in this past Pico World Cup in 2024, like we gave every single country like 6 to 8 paddles so they can continue growing the sport in their country.
So I know that beyond, like you mentioned, beyond the Pickleball World Cup and Pickleball Peru, you guys have been doing kind of stuff behind the scenes. Hercilio, I don't know if you were just in Bermuda. I may have seen that somewhere, or recently, or a clip that you had on there. But Miranda, can you talk to us about like some of the other things that you guys are going and doing with the foundation that may not be actually in the general public?
Of course. So, for example, like in Peru, we have been to maybe like 10 cities there, and just like to low income people, and just having like activities with them, like sharing time with them. We go like with all our team, like maybe 8-10 people, to these communities, and we just spend time with clinics, like free clinics, free activities, and we give like souvenirs like hats, shirts, like paddles, balls, so they can continue like grow the sports. And that's why we do also like international as well. Like Hercilio was in Bermuda like a couple weeks ago. We went to Cuba, went to Nicaragua, Colombia, Venezuela, and just doing the same. Like it comes with from our hearts. It's just like probably this foundation is our family, and for me it's very special because like I was one of them. I was like forget about sports. I was a kid. I couldn't walk for a year. I was in a clinical bed, and I forgot about all the sports. And now that I gave like I had the opportunity to travel and just like share time with them, I think like that's peakable, and that's the beauty of it.
How to give reference? I meant to ask this earlier. How old were you at the time?
I was nine
You were
years old.
9, and
Yeah.
how? Do you mind me asking how the injury actually happened?
Actually, it was like I fell down the stairs. I was in school,
Okay.
and then I dislocated my hip, like for the hip, like mine was over here, and they put it back like with 2 screws. I was in a clinical bed for 5 months, like couldn't sit, couldn't like walk, couldn't do practically anything, and then like it was like a whole year of like rehab, knowing how to walk again, knowing how to like literally like a baby, like everything is step. And then they took the screws out after a year because I was growing. And maybe like 2 years later, 3 years later, they told me, okay, you're fine. Just like don't push it. But I stopped doing things that I like. I couldn't jump, like like I don't know how to call that in English.
Jump rope.
Like
Jump
yeah,
rope. Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I was so afraid of like um, stairs like
Yeah.
for so many years as a kid. Like as a kid you want to run, you want to jump,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do that. I was like just like traumatized of that.
So what I'm really trying to get at is like there clearly was this big challenge that you navigated, which makes you so passionate about what you do today, which is amazing. However, the second piece of that too is like it definitely was not easy to move forward after an injury like that. So many people telling you that you can't do things. Like what mentally got you over that hurdle?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like when I had that accident, I stopped. Like I started doing everything as a kid, like playing the piano, like painting, something that is not like doesn't like like I go hurt. And then suddenly when Hercilio called me, I used to go to Florida. I was like, sure, I just went because I haven't seen him in a while. He was in college over there. And when I stepped on the court, like I wasn't afraid anymore. I was just like, I want to spend time, I want to do things, I want to share time with my brother. And I know I believe like after all that trauma and then ego mentally as well, you know, then the first time I played Pico, I was like just like so relieved. And it's just like I want to play again. I want to feel like a kid again.
Yeah. When was so that first time that you was it 2020 when you came on over here to play
2020,
pickleball?
2021.
Okay, so it was a good bit of time between that accident and then that
Yeah.
there was really nothing really athletic, I would say, or sport oriented in that manner. So in that time of navigating that, did you just channel because you talked about modeling a little bit? Did you channel like your ambition to want to like do something just somewhere else that wasn't so athletically dominant or physically demanding?
Well, like for me, like the modeling side, like I never thought about it. Like I was just like an athlete when I was a kid. I was just like, like wearing pajamas to school or whatever. I was never like into that. And then I was using pandemic like in 2020 doing nothing and then called me uh to compete in beauty pageants. I was like, no, I'm like, this is not me. You're super wrong. And then I started doing it and I realized it's a whole new world and like I grow so much, but then it actually realized like I opened my eyes to a lot of things that I wanted to do. So I competed internationally. Like I went to Dominican Republic. I won the international crown. But then that also gave me like exposure, like to travel and exposure to use that platform to like help others. And that's why the foundation came like along together.
So building from here realistically. So yeah, Pickleball Peru, you have the foundation, and we really see how those seamlessly intertwine with each other. Now Hercilio has this grandiose, large idea, some would call crazy, of building the Pickleball World Cup. So you've been along the ride with him for this entire time. He already gave you a couple crazy ideas. You've executed on them. He gives you this crazy idea. Do you say like, yes, I'm along with you, but I don't know what needs to be done next. Or when he started making those phone calls and he was like, hey, like these people said this was an awesome idea. Like, I need you to come join me.
I was
What did you then go do? Like, what was your reaction?
I was right there. I was like, he entered
Yeah.
to my room and he's like, I'm calling these people. I was like, sure, go ahead. Like, I know nobody's gonna go to Peru. Like, there's no way in this short time. And he's like, hey, he said yes. He said yes. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay, sure. So like how this work, like because it's sometimes really hard to like work with your sibling. Like we've been to a lot of fights. But we know each other, so it's like he works on the idea, he talks on the network and all the like sponsorships or whatever, and then I was the one that doing like the whole production. So I was like literally living like with schools. I was living in Peru. I was like going back and forth. I went like maybe like 20 times of those times like to Peru. Used to realize that okay, we have to figure out the venue, we have to figure out the security, the cleaning, because like people don't know like to run a tournament like that, like an international wise, like it's so many things you have to do. Like talking with the countries, transportation, hotels, like food, the referees, because like for example last year we had 12, 13 certified referees from USA Pickleball. So you have to like actually like take care of them as well. You have to take care of like the software. So it's so many things like around like people I don't think like they see or understand. And I love that part. So I was like, Hercilio, you go and work on your phone calls. You figure out how to bring the countries. I don't know how you're gonna do it, and I'll help you in Peru.
So with kind of organizing that production, I'm sure that you had to make a couple phone calls to say, I haven't fully done this before. I'm going to figure out how to do it, but who the hell am I going to call to make this happen? Who was that first phone call to?
Mom.
Okay.
I was like, Mom, we're doing it. I'm going to Peru, so help us out. Because at that time we was use our family. That was our team. So we four of us, and of course like a couple more. We had volunteers, but we literally, mom, dad, Ursula, and I, we did everything. So it was very stressful for us because we are like on charge on like every single detail that's gonna happen, like the courts, the TV, the channel, social media, marketing wise. So we tried to organize everything, and of course that was the time that we gathered a team together. But as Arcio said, that it was a team like young people, like they just graduate from school, they have the ambitions to learn, but they don't really know what they're doing. And I wasn't really don't know what I was doing, like
Yeah.
if I'm honest, I was like just like trying to learn like at the process and at the time. And I think like it just clicked, like Ercio knew what he has to do, I knew what I was like, on charge of the marketing, social media. We said like okay, we need to do this, we need to do that. But like actually like our mom was like okay, this can work out, because like it was easier that time too, because it was in Peru, like our home country, like we know the people, we know the connections. So it worked out really great. It was like very weeks like we didn't sleep at all, like
Mm.
we fight a lot, but everything turned out great. So like everybody was happy. Use the atmosphere, like like when you work so hard and you're not sleeping, you're like, this is so stressful, I want to quit. But then when the actual work happen and you see like 500 people, like international people, it's like, oh my gosh, we're doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
we have to be successful. So we use like, I don't know how, but we did it.
So you're picking up the phone, you're calling venues, you're calling hotels, you're calling transportation systems, trying to organize this all together, supply food to the referees, players, etc. Um, but during that time, I'm sure there was a roadblock where you were like, I don't know if this is going to happen, right? Like, I have no idea if we're actually going to be able to meet this deadline or pull this off. What was that moment like for you? When did you have it?
So I was like, I'm running, I'm doing this, I'm doing school at the same time, I'm going to Peru like crazy. I was like talking to her still like, hey, I need to know like how many countries, I need to know like how many people. He's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, spend like 20 countries, 25, like 30, maybe 10. I was like, dude, like I really need to know like how many countries, how many referees. So we didn't have like the numbers exact at the time. So we were just running. Like I was like, what else can I do? It's like I'm just like super young. I'm just studying, but I think like this is a passion, and we just want to do it right. Like to put Peru as well in the eyes of the world. Like our home was just like at the office was just like paper. It's like the architecture stuff. I was just putting stuff on the board, putting stuff on the walls. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it should work. I'm just like waiting for Hercilio to bring the people to tell me like, hey, this is the amount of people we're gonna have. And we didn't knew like till like the last minute because like for example
Wow.
for the World Cup last year we got like 33 countries because we did an open division and then a senior division. So the senior was like 50 plus. So every single country can actually bring like two teams to represent. So we were like, for the open division, we had 31 countries. And we're like, well, like 31. We're like, we're missing one. And that last one is like jumped like maybe 2 weeks or a week prior to the tournament. I was like Hercilio because I was doing all the schedule, like the brackets and everything. I'm like, it's not gonna work with 31 countries. We need 32 countries. So I don't know what you do, but you have to bring another country.
What was so the next thing that I had on the kind of the docket here that you just brought up, so it's a perfect transition, is now that you've scheduled everybody coming, there's this whole other element of people actually playing. So did you guys partner with somebody in order to organize that, or did you have to go about really organizing this yourself? Because there is a lot of countries, even more teams, and even more divisions. So how did you organize that?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Or do you go ahead?
You can go, Minnie. Or you want to go?
So, whatever you want.
You can. Because I feel like that's your part, right? So for you to have an idea, it's like when I have an idea, I definitely won't do anything without my family, right? And Miranda knows about it. It's like even though the idea is great and I can have partners or whatever, I feel like if Miranda is not there, like I won't do it, you know. And Miranda at one time, like she was very stressed to school. She was very stressed modeling, and she was like, "Hey, like I need to figure out what I have to do for myself." And I said, "Well, if you're out, there is nothing. I mean, everything is canceled, you know." And I feel like it's just like we move as one, and we move together. So basically, what's on my brain sometimes like I have 10 different ideas at the same time, and I just like get like in a full speed of like all what I have to do. And sometimes I'm not the best communicator, like expressing what I really want, you know. So Miranda is there as a to bring the idea to the
Translator.
world, you know, and like be able to translate it to the people and like make it happen, you know. Like we both know all what I have to do. Miranda, I know what Miranda has to do, but it's just like we are better on like maybe kind of being the outer face, and Miranda being a little bit more behind the scenes, and it just has worked perfectly since the first tournament we did in Peru, and it's just like now it's just a bigger scale, but also we have learned through the process, and we have learned through our mistakes, like what works and what doesn't, you know. And I mean, we just protect ourselves and keep it everything like as we can, like from us, you know, because it's a new concept. It's something that hasn't been done before, and definitely want to have our touch and making sure everybody had a great time on the court, but also like the off the court part. So yeah, and you can keep going.
Yeah. So as Lucia said, like it was like something new. We are just creating at the moment. So for the production and for the actually tournaments, like all the requirements, we went to a couple companies in Peru. You know, like the production, everything. They're gonna be in charge. But at the same time, like it's super easy. For example, to go here to the states to one company and it's like, hey, run it. You know, because they understand what's people. They understand the concept. They understand like what they're doing because like United States is a big market. But in Peru, like people didn't know what to do. So I was like talking with my team, talking with Hercilio, like, hey, like we go to this, like they might help out, but at the end it's just us because like it was like Hercilio and I like Hercilio's brain, my brain. It's like we had everything here. It's just like so hard to put in paper, so hard to like delegate the stuff, and to actually train them. We have like so many volunteers, so many hours with them. Like this is gonna work. Like the entry is gonna go here. The athlete has to racer this way because if they don't racer, you don't look it up in the software. So it's like so many details. Like they had to understand. I was like, this is very important. You just have to stand here. Every single athlete has to racer. So at the end, it was just like practically me and my team. And of course, like for software, we partner up. Like for the World Cup, it was Switch, and some guys came to actually like run it. But sorry about that. To actually running, we have like a couple of sponsors, like our partners for sure, like Duper, like Pickleball Rankings, like for Global JTA, and it actually helped. But it's really hard and it's really different to run a tournament like this in South America in a market that is like people don't know actually what is it, you know?
Hmm. What were the so when it comes to production and actually viewing the sport itself, major key in this, right? Especially when it comes to exposure of the World Cup as a whole. What were those like key moments or even key pieces of looking at the production where you like, this is what our viewer needs to get from this in order to really grasp their attention?
The show. It's just like the Pico World Cup is not a regular tournament. It's just like you're representing your country. So to see like the atmosphere, like everybody in their uniform, everybody cheering up, it was like a whole party. So the LED screens, the like inauguration day, the show, the production, it's just like a whole party. It was like the biggest festival of Pico in the world, like a whole week. So we knew that was important, like every single detail, and of course, like for the international people, like being televised. So we were on, like on our YouTube channel, like 24/7, like every single hour, and then we got actually to be on national TV on Movistar Deportes, like a TV channel in Peru, like the biggest one for sports. So I think that actually was like amazing for everyone.
Yeah, I was watching some of it during at the time. I went back and watched some of it before we were going to record here, and you could just tell the amount of detail and thought that you guys put into it to really make it the production that it was, and truly give it what I will say is like at scale that Olympic type feel, right? Like people are competing for their country and really knowing that they're competing for something beyond just them. And you could feel that watching that. So I'm excited when we dive into what is next for the future of this. I'm excited to dive into that section. But backtracking, I'm going to slide over to Hercilio here. Kind of backtracking a little bit, building on up to this, there was a big meeting on over in Dubai with a bunch of players leading up to the World Cup. Who was realistically at that meeting, and what was really said to get this thing moving when you guys were over there?
Yeah, so one of the bigger goals of the Pickleball World Cup is to get to the Olympics, right? Unfortunately, in order to do that together, you have to work towards the same goal, and all the countries have to unify in order to work together. You know, there cannot be like one party that is doing this and one other party that is doing that, because all what the International Olympic Committee looks for is that unity on like working together towards like the same goal for the sport. So uh, the meeting in Dubai was, I mean, there was a part for like, of course, the launching of the Pickleball World Rankings and like trying to make this international tour and having many stops in many different countries. But also there was a part where we met with the Global Pickle Federation and we discussed like what they are doing in Asia with the Continental Federation in Asia. What are their plans? What are their goals? And of course, I had a time to showcase what we have done in Peru along those 4 years, and then have that World Cup united with the Pickleball World Rankings. You know, so they will have their tour, we will have the World Cup, and of course, we'll have the global entity as well. So I mean, it was like we everybody had different pieces, you know, that and we could make the puzzles together, you know. But of course, there is a lot of people involved. It doesn't take like one just conversation or one conference to like get everything in track. So definitely, like we as a Pickle World Cup, we are an independent and biased group that is willing to partner up and work with like any partner that is looking to do it for the sport and move in that Olympic path. So you probably don't know this, but before the Olympics, there is 5 Olympic cycles, right? And the one right before the Olympics are the Continental Games, which for us in America is called the Pan American Games. So how we learned this is because basically the Pan American Games were hosted in Peru in 2019. So they built these humongous villas where they are the best in America right now. It's kind of like an Olympic villa, right? And they were considered the best games that they were in the 100 years of the Olympic Committee in the Pan American region. So, being that said, I mean, Miranda was able to connect with all the directors, and introduce them the sport of pickleball, and then slowly we get like our little space where we can like do our activities for pickleball. But the games are going to be again held in 2027 in Peru, So of course we uniting the countries and we are able to make that first step on the Olympic world in our country is, I mean, besides like we are doing this for the sport and anywhere in the world, like, I mean, it happens. I mean, we're going to be so happy and we're going to push it, but it's just like a little bit more special when it's going to be on your country, So there is some Bolivian games, which is before the Pan American Games even, that were only like, if I'm not mistaken, like 8 countries participate on it. They're going to do an exhibition, and that will be held in Peru by July this year. And then for 2027, our goal is to get into Pan American Games where 42 countries from our region will participate. So that's the first goal with the World Cup. And then, like, of course, the Olympic route. I mean, we're looking more into 2036. But of course, we're putting all the efforts to join us as sport in 2032. But all doesn't come from us or Peru. It comes from the world, So definitely we need good governance, and we have a team. We have the resources that are and the professionals that are willing to make this happen. It's just like there has to be some alignment from the biggest stakeholders in the game, and we are here to make that work. So that's definitely like something that goes in parallel with the World Cup, right? But I mean that's our main intention with it.
So if we were to summarize into a checklist the items that need to be completed before we can actually have pickleball in the Olympics, what would those items be?
Like the most important part is having the federations being legally formed in every country and being recognized pickleball as a national sport. So they have to make a law where it says like pickleball is recognized as a national sport. They have to only be registered in their Ministry of Sports in those countries. And then the last step will be being recognized by the Olympic Committee from their country. So for you to have an idea, it took us 4 years with a lot of professionals that knew what they were doing in order to achieve the status of federation. And we just got accepted in our Peruvian Olympic Committee this past December. So it's a lot of work. I mean, not everybody is willing to do that for the sport, So definitely it takes leaders, it takes a team to make this happen. But of course, we know the pathway and we know what it takes, and we can simplify that route for the countries and make it like easier, right? So that's something like we have done as an ambassador for sport, I mean, we spend numerous hours talking with the leaders of many countries, and even during our event, we do a World Promoters Forum where we gather all the leaders from every single country, and we had our stakeholder, which is For Global. For Global is a British company that is in charge of doing the Olympic Games since Sydney 2000, and also organized the FIFA World Cups. So they are our brains, in all this path that we have to follow for the Olympics, and they handle that conference, and talk to every single country, and we talk about like what's needed, such infrastructure, equipment, in order to make this a national sport in those countries and get to the Olympics.
So something I do not want to glaze over here is we keep talking about how we've united and talked to high level officials of many countries, 33 plus. Now, I know I can't pick up the phone and just like call one of them and be like, hey, how are you doing today? Do you want to talk about pickleball? So, how did you end up getting in contact with these high level government officials or even leaders of these countries to actually even say, like, hey, I have the sport pickleball you might be interested in?
Well, I feel like, and it's a tough question, right? I feel like that's the um, it was very hard, you know. I mean, definitely there was numerous calls to different people to different countries, uh, but I think the thing that we have in common is pickleball, right? So it's
Was
like,
that email? Did you look up their phone number online? Like, where did we get these numbers?
well, I mean, like once you connect with someone, they can connect with someone else, and then like, you just start growing your network, right? But I mean, the message was really clear. You know, we didn't invite one person or one community or one club or one association. We invited a country. You know, so sometimes I mean, like I won't say the country, but there were like 5 clubs, right? And all the heads hate each other, you know, because they had different ways to see it, and they will never have worked together, you know. And I just talked to every one of them separately, and I said like, hey, this is not about you. This is not about your club. This is not about your association. This is about like what are your best players and your best talent that you can showcase in the Pickleball World Cup, or you can take the cup home, you know. And with those efforts, I put them all in a group chat and said like, hey, I need to know who is going to be the one that's going to lead this team, this delegation. And I mean, they came all together, they had a conversation, and nowadays in that country, there is only one association, and they're all working together to get all the federation side. So I feel like there is so much work we do behind the scenes. I mean, definitely, like this is something that doesn't, it's not our area. You know, I feel like there's like other partners that you should be doing this, but I mean, we know what it takes because we have all the infrastructure. Because before the Pickle World Cup, right? I mean, we did all what it takes to develop Pickle Peru. You know, so I feel like we have all the knowledge it needs, but we are making like so many changes that we don't know, right? I mean, like whenever we went the World Cup and we saw this like 12-year-old Venezuelan girl, right? And we got an interview, and like she said like, hey, the only thing I dream for is like when I grow up, I just want to represent Venezuela in the Pickle World Cup, you know. And like they go back to their countries, and the only thing they're doing is training and preparing to qualify for the team, you know. And those are the little things that when you are there, and like the times I wanted to give up or just say like, hey, like we should just postpone it, we're not ready for this, it's just like they make me push, you know, to keep doing it. I mean, there's a story from team member in Puerto Rico, in the Puerto Rico team, right? I mean, he works every day. He's a really hard worker. You know, he has a family, he has some kids, and he definitely doesn't have like the finances to sustain himself. But he loves pickleball, right? And the association was able to pay for his expenses and his ticket to come to Peru and represent Puerto Rico in the World Cup, right? I mean, he was able to be spotted on the kitchen. I mean, like in all the social media. I mean, he won, and when we went back, I mean, he came to me and say, "Thank you. I mean, it's the best experience I have ever had in my life." You know, so I feel like, and that's just like one of like so many stories that I can share, right? But I feel like doing that good for the world and like doing that good with like also the foundation, the World Cup. I mean, that's the essence of it, you know. I mean, besides who wins, of course, we like to see the best players, the best talent, the best competition. But I mean, people sometimes don't understand like this is what people will come from China or India to come to participate for the World Cup, right? And that's like the essence of pickleball that we don't want to lose. And I feel like nowadays pickleball has go in so many directions, and it's not the pickleball that was 5 years ago. But I mean, we are that, right? We are pickleball.
The reason that I kind of led into that question was because you guys have truly accomplished something incredible here. And with that being said, you led with the fact of like building a network. And a major part of our audience is entrepreneurs in the pickleball space or not. And the strength that I wanted to emphasize is like what actually just picking up the phone and making a couple phone calls can actually do. And you're going to get a yes or a no, and it may take 100 no's to eventually get a yes or like a hey, I know somebody that may help you out. But I really wanted to emphasize the power of just like picking up the phone and calling and calling and calling until you get to where you want to be. And it sounds like that's what you really did until somebody said, hey, I have the contact for you to this government official or to the leader of this country. Like, let me set you up with him. This sounds pretty cool. Is that realistically how it went?
Maybe you want to go?
I think that was more a question for you, but yeah, I probably it was like that. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like Hercilio, like he was like mostly the one that doing the calls, but he was like calling like day and night, like because like sometimes we contact like countries like India, China, New Zealand, and Austria. And they went to a World Cup, but it's like the time difference. Like Hercilio was calling like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I was like, and he in the morning was like, I need to call this person again. So it's like, it was super hard, but we made it work. It was like so many phone calls, so many like um Zooms like with them to explain what we're going to explain, like, what to expect, because at that time like we didn't have like pictures, we didn't have videos, like we didn't have something to show them to what to expect because like, it was like most like, hey, come to Peru, trust us, and you're gonna have the best experience in the world.
If you had to put a number, I don't know if either of you knows this, but if you had to put a number on like how many phone calls you think it took before you actually got to the leader of a country to actually make that decision, like how many actual phone calls did it take?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
I already know. I'll probably be in the thousands number.
Yeah, because like you
Yeah.
have to understand sometimes like we didn't reach out to 33 countries, we reached out to more,
Yeah.
because maybe a couple countries didn't make it because of the time, or like they didn't have the resources, but they're willing to come to the next World Cup. But we reach out to a lot.
You have to realize like there are not only calls to the countries, right? I mean, there are calls to my team, calls to like the software, calls to the venue, calls to like every single provider, like such as security, ambulances. We had everything in place. So I mean, I can tell you, like, I was probably waking up at 6, 7 a.m. And I mean, I was having late meetings such as like midnight or 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to talk to China or India. And then in the morning, I was talking with Europe, because that was the time like zone that worked out. So there was a lot of time some difference, that you have to put that in place. So that also like make it like really, really hard. But I mean, as I said, like I won't change anything of it. And now, I mean, everybody believed in the project. They knew about us. I mean, they trust us. And I mean, like we are happy to take it to the next level.
In that moment when you had no sleep and you're drained, you don't want to continue moving forward. You're like, let me just have a couple other hours in your bed. What actually still got you out of bed that said, I'm gonna make these phone calls anyways, regardless of how tired I am?
Well, I can tell you that I was never tired. Like I always wake up with a smile.
Energized.
And like I was just something bigger than me just kept moving.
Mm.
As I can tell, we'll tell an anecdote that happened during the World Cup. I mean, when we had to put 10 courts to start the event, but in order to do the first day, we had 7 courts laid out, and the other 3 we had to close like some part of like the spectator side seats, and then we're gonna lay out 3 courts. So there were some going on, some problems, and the company that was supposed to come in to put the other 3 courts said like they couldn't make it the day off. So we finished the ceremony, and then my producer said like, hey, by the way, the company is not going to come today. They're going to come tomorrow, or like first thing in the morning. And I said like, hey, we need the course by 7 p.m. Like that's not going to happen. I don't care what we have to do. It's like this has to happen tonight. So I was in a suit, and I started closing the seats. Like we had like my team, they were like really tired. I said, hey, like guys, you need to help us out. So we close all the spectator seats. We lay out the 3 courts, and get ready to pace them tomorrow because we have to lay the courts out for some hours to like be flat. And I mean, once we finished, it was like, oh no, we're on like 3, 4 a.m., something like that. And we had to put all the
barriers, the
barriers,
separators.
the separators around the court. And I was just like, so, I was just keep going, but it's like my body just shut off, and I had to lay down on the courts in my suit. And I probably took an hour.
And he fell asleep.
I fall asleep on the courts. Like I stay down on the courts and like fall asleep. And then like I'll go to bed and I will run again at 5:30. And like because like of course you have like the pickle players that want to go like a couple hours early to make some practice, so I had to like go greet them, make sure like all the stations were set. Um, but I mean, it was just we were just having so much fun. We were all connected with the walkie-talkies. We had like 4 securities like in suits, that were able to like gather all like everything was perfect. And like the first day, yeah, sure, was chaos. We made a couple of mistakes. It was like everybody was learning what to do. But I mean, like you had to see second day was just a whole success. Like everybody knew what to do. Everybody was like not even from our side, but also the players, because we had 2 venues. And it was just hard. Hey, when you play, the communication was really good. Third day was just a blast. Like everybody just
Easy.
having fun, like jumping. Like everybody was just like in the right position. So definitely like we had a lot of challenges, but I won't change anything. And I feel like there was something like just bigger than the World Cup or anything that we wouldn't stop.
So
Miranda,
like,
what we're no,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add something about Hercilio.
Yeah.
So like it was like more about the logistic. It was like really big because we did the World Cup at the Pan American Games Village. So it was a huge venue, and we had in that village we have 2 venues, like one of like 10 courts, and then the velodrome with like 6 courts. And then it was super great because like we actually stayed there at the same village, and the country stayed there as well as the referees. So it's like imagine you like as an international player, you like as a professional athlete, to stay in that village, and it's like waking up, like grab like breakfast, and then walk to the courts, like, it's like right there. Like you go downstairs and the venue's right there. So it was a great experience to have like the Olympics, the Pan American Games, like to see people like, oh, this is cool. Like I don't have to go anywhere. I'm like I have everything here. But it was like from the velodrome, like the indoor cycling venue, to the sports center street. It was like 10 minutes walking, and we were like with the walkie-talkies. Or she was in charge of one venue. I was in charge of other one. I was like, hey, I'm missing one person. I'm missing one player. Like, so is he over there? It's like, yeah, I'm right here. Oh, he's running. Just wait for him. It was super fun. Everyone's having a blast, like, and outside the venues, like we have like all the sponsors, like the tents, like the medals, the ceremony, like a show, like food trucks and everything. So it was a great experience also for the athlete, like to stay there and to like be treated as professional athlete. That's why we want to grow, like to be at Pan American Games and to be in the Olympics for sure.
What were those, Miranda? What were those like those day one jitters or challenges that you ran into where you're like, I did not expect this, but then you said day 2 and day 3 it was seamless.
Oh, day one, I was dead because like we did the course like the night prior because of the inauguration. We did a big ceremony, like everybody walked with their flags, like to feel us to the Olympics, and then we put the courts. I maybe slept like an hour, like 3 in the morning to 5 in the morning, maybe 2, and then wake up my team, because like my team was like people our age, and it's like, hey, wake up! Like we have like 500 people like coming downstairs like in every single minute because like all the players were like down like on time. I was like, hey guys, wait a minute, it's like courts are not ready. I'm like, we're figured out. Like we're opening doors at 6:30. I don't know, and it was like just like and we had so many issues, like the system went down, like we didn't have a printer. It's like, oh my god, go to like the charger, whatever. It's like, hey, I need paper on the other venue. So it's like it was so many things. It's like everybody was running side to side. For sure the first day was chaos at the beginning, but we made it work. And it's just like I think like the team, it was a great team. Like everybody was supporting like, each other. and it was just like what keep us going. I believe it was the international players, because like the players were so happy. The players like, hey, you're doing an amazing job, thank you so much for this. It's like incredible experience. Even if they lost, like if maybe they lost like in the first round or whatever, they were just happy. They were just like enjoying their time there, and that was like just like, I don't have words to describe that.
Yeah, and
Herci-
for you to give you a more of like a scenario because day one, day two, day three. So I mean, the event lasts a week. The first day is the opening ceremony. Like it's kind of like a practice day, and like we have like a lot of events. It's not just a competition, right? I mean, we have a clinic, we have a certification for referees, we have a certification for coaches. We have like a clinic for para athletes, clinic for kids, clinic for the juniors. And that's like the part like the foundation takes place because I mean we give those clinics to the kids for free, the para athletes for free. So there's a lot of events happening like at the same time. We have the forum, and we have just to divide the team in a way where we knew everything where everybody was in place, right? So the first day is the opening ceremony, and then the next 3 days are the international tournament, which is kind of like the most hectic days because I mean everybody's playing, but they're playing for their country but representing an individual side, you know. So I mean, you're playing for Peru or Venezuela, but you can play in the tournament with someone international. You don't have to play with someone of the same country. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday was like the cherry of the cake, right? I mean, like we had the team event, and that's where like I mean, everybody was uniform. We had a meeting the day prior. I mean, everybody knew already who they were. I mean, the referees were amazing, and I mean, I feel like Miranda talks about our team, but I mean, there's so many people that has made this dream a reality, right? Since the people that help us with the software, I mean, all our volunteers, our referees, I mean, well, they were like amazing since like day one. I mean, they knew what they were getting into. I mean, they actually just, I mean, they were all uniform, they were all ready. I mean, it was just amazing, and and also like the little things. I mean, like everybody always was there. Say, hey, can I help out with something? Can I do this? I mean, they were even like volunteers that came from the states to just volunteer on the work.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean,
Wow.
that is like, I mean, above and beyond. And as Miranda said, like they trust these two siblings, that were doing a pickle World Cup in Peru. But I mean, we were able to pull it off with a lot of work, and I mean, we were very happy with our results. And like I said, like we are really working really hard on what's next. So I mean, we are super super excited to share the news. Hopefully, in the next week or so.
So before we get into what's next, because we are going to definitely have to tease some of that. Two pieces here that you just keyed in on that I want to talk about, and this could be for either of you, so you could chime in, is building that actual team of individuals and really how you went about it. Because not only did you have a massive team of sponsorships, right? I mean, it looked like you had hundreds of sponsors almost that I saw. But beyond that, like actually recruiting a team at this scale and getting people to fly there on top of that. And also on top of that, getting volunteers to participate, not telling people you're necessarily going to be able to pay them a whole lot. Like that's a big challenge in itself. So how did you actually go about recruiting this team?
I mean, Miranda can tell you that we had a plan. For example, for our volunteers, you have to be trained in order to be able to be at the World Cup stage. So everybody comes around. We did a lot of like tests of like personality wise, what's the position they feel comfortable with. We separated in different sections, and that's like our operations team that Miranda handles it. So I mean, I can tell you there was at the beginning was like one get together every month, and then as the day gets closer, was like multiple meetings per week, and also like I mean, there was like every other day they had to go. I mean, one of the last weeks, for example, for a training, they had to go to the venue and had to like do all the pathway of like how the players will walk, what are the questions they're gonna ask, all the signals are clear. So I mean, like what are volunteers that speak English and Spanish as well, because there's a lot of international people, right? I mean, like it's just like we were on top of it, and I mean every hole that was there we were able to cover it, And I mean, that also comes from Miranda and I being players, and being in these tournaments. Like, we know what we need as a player. So I feel like we were able to cover everything where like everybody was just like they knew what they were doing. But yeah, it was a lot of work, a big commitment. And then of course we did a lot of things for the volunteers. I mean, and the cool thing is like, um, for us, sure, I mean, like the volunteer is also one of the steps how you can be part of the organization, right? I mean, once the event was done, we were able to hire like 6 of our volunteers that they were able to participate. And now we also have some freelance where there were volunteers that they knew how to build the software and use the software correctly. So now we hire them every tournament we do. Like they are able to like be on those positions. So it's a really cool concept, because everybody has their own opportunities, and like these volunteers are always looking for new experiences. But I mean, we definitely provide. It was the only event in Peru that has used the venues, and they have used 2 venues in the same villa. Like, and it's not even a sport that is known in South America. So I mean, for us to be able to handle that, I mean, it was a great achievement.
How many members were actually on the team in total, if you had to say, including volunteers?
A lot. Because like
A lot.
for the
Oh,
volunteer, we have like I don't know, more than 100 maybe. Because like
okay.
there are some volunteers that like stay like for the whole day, but there are a couple volunteers that come like for hours like during the week. So
Mm.
we have like a lot of rotations, but I don't know like a word like a number
I mean, it
exactly.
was definitely over a couple hundred volunteers.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked this because for like reference to at scale of like how many people you actually had to pull together to actually
A
like
lot.
pull this off, which is a lot. Like,
Yeah.
talk about thousands and thousands of phone calls beyond just looking for sponsorships, right? Or uniting countries. So the last piece of this for a major section of our entrepreneurs, and this is with any business that you're kind of developing, is usually you need some sort of outside capital to make it happen, some sort of funding from elsewhere, unless you're bootstrapping it yourself, which often you could take to so far, but there's a point at scale when you do need support. So that's kind of where it seems like sponsorships definitely came into play here. What was your, I don't know who made those phone calls, but what was the pitch to sponsors? Was it easy saying like, hey, once you got the person on the phone, it was like, we're hosting a Pickleball World Cup. Do you want to be a part of it? Like, what was the selling point for the sponsors that ended up joining you?
That's a Hercilio for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it was a lot of phone calls. I mean, definitely wasn't just one and done. I mean, some sponsors, some partners took like 2 or 3, 4 months to develop a relationship, right? Uh, but they like the idea. They like the concept. Of course, being in Peru, international, like it was definitely like, I mean, for an American brand, was challenging, to go overseas. I mean, it was like kind of when we were pitching, we were already a little bit like closer to the date, because we didn't have like a whole time to prepare this. But the response was super, super um, supportive. And even though they, some of them like were not able to provide what they asked for, it was basically kind of like, hey, we believe in you. Like, we're gonna, instead of doing this, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna go to the event. So we had a whole team of protocol in the World Cup. We had like big celebrities coming. We have like very important politic figures that came, even ambassadors of different countries.
Can you
And
name it? Are you able to name a few?
um, I mean, like CEOs or owners of pickleball brands, they
Okay.
came. And of course, they had a VIP treatment, with us. But I mean, it was like, like what they were saying is like, hey, I want to see it through my eyes, what this Pickleball World Cup is about, and I would like to, and if we, like, if you make what you're saying, we're willing to go really big for the next edition. So, I mean, we had big names in there, and that they have been in like all the main tournaments of the both tours that are out there, and like the biggest tournaments, and they were like, "This is just above and beyond. There is nothing like this. I mean, it's the best tournament I have been." People that go to every single stop for every tournament, and they were like, "This is just. I mean, I want to go full in. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for bringing us on." And of course, now they wanna. I mean, they don't only wanna be sponsors, right? They wanna be partners with us. So I feel like our goal was that, right? I mean, because I understand from a business standpoint, right? I mean, you're not gonna be involved on an investment or a sponsorship, right? Definitely, like there is, you wanna make some return and you wanna know what's the strategy. And now we are definitely able to provide that. This is not like a 1 year deal, like we are here for the long run. But we were able to like come out with like all what we said in like before the planning of it. We just come a strategic plan and we have able to achieve and overachieve like what we have done. So I mean, we are really happy with our result. And at the end of the day, our goal and our main like goal on this is like seeing the paralysis play, right? Seeing the kids, seeing the young like teenagers like compete. I mean, they're fighting for a spot. I mean, like the World Cup environment, you don't have any clue on like when the countries are playing. Like as an spectator, it's just like wild. Like it's just like intense. Like it's different. It's different. Like I feel like you definitely have to come for the next one so you can experience that like first.
Absolutely. I will be absolutely honored to be there. So you could pencil me in for that. The second piece of that as like advice to any entrepreneurs listening or watching is it sounds like really what you did was just take of the words of what you were saying and put it into fruition, meaning prove what you were doing first. And it sounds like everybody really became calling you afterwards to be like, okay, how can we now participate? Right. So really proving it first. And then that makes it hell of a lot easier for people to say yes afterwards. Moving on to the future of the game, because this is really what I'm sure everybody wants to know about. What are the next steps, or really, and I could turn to Miranda for this one. What is on the agenda for the Pickleball World Cup come 2025 and beyond? What does the future look like?
For sure, like it's happening again. Like the view org is gonna be held like this year, like the end of the year. We're right now like closing conversations, like to see like where are we gonna host it, because like it can be in Peru or maybe cannot be. So for sure, Peru is an option. We have a couple like countries like on the table as well. So we're organizing to see, and like as soon as possible for sure you will know like when and where it's gonna be. But we're gonna expect like more than 48 countries this year.
Wow. Are you able to elaborate at all on what the other possible locations may be in countries?
There's a couple in Asia. There's a couple in North America, and
Okay.
I mean, there's of course a couple in South America as well.
So what are some of the new countries that are joining as well? Because you're going now from 33 to 48.
There
It's a,
were a couple that are
it's a
going to
large
join
jump.
from the South America, like Pan American region.
Okay.
We are definitely like working with the European side, and also like we'd like to get more involvement from the Asian side as well. So
Yeah,
definitely like the other continents coming, and that's
because
why.
like sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Like for example, like last year with the like 33 countries, we had around like I think like 20 were like from the Pan American region, and like the 13 were like from all like other parts of the world, like Europe, Asia, like Oceania. But we are working right now to have like more countries from that area as well.
Are you guys planning to have this as like a yearly event? Is that kind of the goal moving forward, is to have one a year?
We have a plan for that. I mean, right now, as Pickleball is growing, we want to make the more noise when I get to the Olympics. So as far as now, we like to have it like yearly event. But as the event grows, I mean, we are looking to make it like we have like many things that come along because there's also a qualifying process for the World Cup that we are like our partners are also like developing. But I mean, as to answer your question, like yes, we are planning to do like once a year, and then we're gonna see like how what the world is saying to us in order to like, make this like more successful as well, as we grow.
Now, I don't know if Hercilio, can you see Miranda there?
Just went black, but
Okay. So I was gonna jump on over to her, but I will jump on over to you to at least answer this question.
yeah, of course.
Production side. Is there anything going on behind the scenes from a viewership standpoint? Are we going to be on ESPN, CBS Sports? Are we looking to kind of take it to the next level to give an inside look of what the players are actually going through? Like, what does now the escalation of the production look like for the upcoming years?
Yeah, so we just make an agreement with For Global. They're gonna be our
Okay.
production side. As I said before, they have organized the FIFA World Cups, they have organized the Olympics, they have organized like the MLS, and they have a big expertise on these major sport events. So they're gonna be handling all the production side in a standard that you guys haven't seen in pickleball before.
Wow.
So I'm really excited for that. We also work with JTA, Surgeon Thieves, who does our press release. So we have the press release all over the world. And
Okay.
we have just start conversations with like a big media partner for the World Cup that will be able to like put the Pickleball World Cup in the place it needs to be. And on the other side for media and production marketing, we just got connected with someone that is on the filming world and have big connections with like Netflix, Amazon TV, and more on. And when we talked about the project, he fell in love with it. So he wants to be part of it at any capacity. And we are discussing now to do a Pickleball World Cup series that is going to be able to showcase not only the World Cup itself, but the behind the scenes and the players that are involved in it. So there is big plans. Then we have make a partnership with like software that is going to be able to handle the international side, but also the World Cup side. And we have made also in big talks with like the production for the opening and closing ceremony and the parade. I feel like there's no anything that you guys have seen before in any other tournament. Like we are just, bigger and like, make it very unique and special for all the players that come to attend and represent their countries, but also for the spectator side to be able to see it on TV. You are gonna see every single detail like if you are on the court. So there is big things coming. Our dream goal is to get 64 countries, but of course, we already are in the 48 number.
Yeah, you're not too far away.
So yes, I like to dream big. Same with the 32. When I said 32, my team was just like, hey, you're crazy. I feel like this is gonna be really hard to achieve, but I got stuck in 30, 31, and I was able to pull the last one. So we are very confident of what we are doing. We are definitely have the team. I trust my team 100%. Everybody knows their area. They are the best in what they do. So I feel like now joining forces with these partnerships, making this organization even bigger and stronger with professionals that are in this field, I feel like it's just like amazing, and I'm just super excited to just give you more news. But I think it's gonna happen in the next days or so. Here is like, if I have learned something, it's just like stay positive. Big things are gonna come at the right time. So definitely like I'm very impatient sometimes, but you have to learn that these things are really big and they take some time. So I'm like you, like the world is waiting to know what's next, but I can just share that there's something really big coming.
So we can expect a FIFA World Cup style viewership type entertainment experience here. Is that where we're going with this?
100%. That's like our role model, and that's like what we look for. and
That's exciting.
even bigger than the FIFA World Cup.
So you also mentioned some working with some people in the Netflix space. You said award-winning filmmaker over there. So are they doing a behind the scenes? Is this going to be a documentary or is this going to be live? Like, what's going on here?
Those are like the final conversations that we are having these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking to do many things in the filming side, because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you want to make sure like this was the starting point of pickleball
Yeah.
in the international stage, and we would like it to be documented, and we would like it to have like that data and those videos, because we're gonna look like 20, 30 years from now, but it's like this is where we started, and like this is all the job that it took to be where it's at that time. So I feel like I am pushing that route as well. I mean, like this is a very important uh, um, like activity for us to be all documented. I mean, of course, we want to document as much as we can. So we are working on it as we talk.
So now, Miranda, when it comes to the actual venue, are we looking at some large stadiums? Are people going to be able to go watch? Like, what kind of venue are we looking to upgrade to for this as well?
Absolutely. So I think that it's gonna be hard to be better than last year, because like that last year with those like huge venues from the Pan American Games, like it was like everything was indoor. We had the great courts, we had the LED screens, the championship court. If we had everything last year, uh, I think like this year is gonna be way bigger. Like a lot of like people come join and see the actual World Cup. Like the venues like and the countries that we're looking right now is just like very big, and I think like if the people that went last year, like you saw it in YouTube in the social media, and you thought that it was gonna that it's great, like this year's like it's way bigger than that. Like every single year we're gonna double it and double it.
So if people want to go watch this, or even let's say they want to go play in it or go to clinics there or even make it a vacation, where can they actually like go see the opportunity to participate in the Pickleball World Cup?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why like we have like a week event. So the Pico World Cup is like the team event, like countries against countries, and then prior that we do the international tournament. So in the international tournament, everybody can play. So for example, like if we did like last year we did in Peru, like all the Peruvians, like 300, 400 Peruvians can actually play the tournament, but only a couple people can play the World Cup because that's the team event and that's the association federations like of each country. But yeah, so just like on our social media, stay tuned, like Pico World Cup official, and we're gonna be posting all the like the details about it.
Is there you see countries starting to host tryouts for these teams or what?
100%.
Yeah,
That's
100%. So
that's
go
like
ahead.
there's a side effect of the Pickleball World Cup, right? I mean, sure, the first year, I mean, like it was just kind of like all last minute, so they just select like the best players. But for this last year, I mean, there are countries that are doing qualifiers for the last 3 months, where they do qualifiers for every single city. I mean, they do like two national qualifiers, or they just do one, and they just select the best players by them, right? So once like someone reaches out to us in our Instagram, like we have a team that handles that, and they were able to connect to whatever country you're looking for, and that's like how you can participate for one of the countries. We don't select the players. We don't select like who is representing who. It's like that comes from every country and with the right formalities with them.
Could we see, and there may be stipulations on this, I know there's restrictions on contracts and stuff like that. We're able to see someone like Ben Johns play at the World Cup, or some of the, I'll say, names that people are familiar with in the pickleball space actually come on over and participate?
That's a long-term idea. I mean, you have to think like there are countries in like, for example, the Caribbean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they start playing like a year each ago, So imagine pickleball in the States like many, many years ago. So, and with Hooper, which is a great partner for us, we have a better idea of like what's the rating system, worldwide, and what's the talent over there. But I mean, like there are some countries where right now their best players are 4-5 ish, maybe a 5-0, you know, but they are definitely not like number one player right now. So what we like to do, because we like to make an even competition, and we like for them to have an opportunity to like make it far,
Yeah.
and of course have a great time during the event. We cap the cup at 5.5 per below.
Okay.
So that makes a very even competition, and every year there's going to be a slightly race. So of course, we get to a point where the number one player in the world, the male and female, can compete for the best competition. But
But
that's in the long run.
yeah, but for sure we're gonna have like special guests like during the week. So every single year we have like somebody that goes like and everybody, oh my god, like who's there? So for sure we're gonna have that this year as well.
I absolutely love that. Um, we have we have two closing questions on this podcast, and we give to every guest. And Miranda, I'll start with you. The first one is, what is one failure you are thankful for today?
That's a good question. Um,
Take your time, no rush.
I don't say as a failure, but or maybe it is. I don't really know. It's just like accepting no's, like for an answer. I
Mm,
believe like as an entrepreneur, as a like I'm like learning all this process as well. I think like at the beginning I accepted like a no, and I'm fine with that. But then I learned that if you really wanna keep it going, if you really wanna push it, like you have to be there like every day and night, like practically. So I don't think it's a failure, but I count it as it, maybe.
no, I think that's a great response. Because coming from somebody who used to be an avid yes guy, it definitely took my plate getting way too overloaded for me to be like, okay, I got to learn to say no a couple times, right? So I completely get that. Hercilio, for you, what is one failure you're thankful for today?
It's a tough one, but I can definitely tell you that more than a failure or a specific moment in my life, while we are like building something new, it's more like I have had a lot of learning lessons along the way, you know, and I feel like having a team, I always felt protected, because if I would just be me, I probably had make some dumb decisions. But also, I have meet a lot of people along the way that have been able to be great mentors that have been able to like get me where I am today. So if you want to see it as a failure, I feel like for me it's like you always learn from your mistakes, and you always learn from things that happen. And I feel like even in the bad moments or good moments, there's always a takeaway. And I feel like that takeaway has always make me move to what's next, and like what can I achieve now, right? I feel like I am the living dream of like someone that just shouldn't like accept no's. I mean, you're like my own family, right? And I present this break, like said no to me, right? And I could have just stopped there and like have a normal life and like figure out what I would like to do. But for me, like I know it's a motivation to keep going. And as long as you believe in yourself and like you are doing things right, uh, things are gonna come true. And for me, it's like, on top of that, I can do that with my family and be a role model for a lot of kids and pro athletes that are looking for new opportunities, and I can just able to ease their path. Like, I mean, I'm here for them. And I'm very happy and lucky that I can do that through the sport, right? I mean, besides pickleball, I'm an athlete, and like I feel like look, always because I finally get where I want to be and like what I want to achieve. So, and now from that, I'm very blessed, and I mean, I'll just keep moving forward, right? I mean, as Miranda said, I mean, the amount of no's I receive in doing this and developing this are, I mean, infinite, right? I mean, even from my side, but also from the external side, right? I mean, even to the point like I got to cry, and I was just like say like, hey, like I don't think like I should just like give it up. We got an offer, and it's like, hey, this is my out. And then like I called someone, and she was like, hey, this is your dream. I mean, you don't have to give up, you know. And then she said like, if you take it, you are gonna like stay quiet for a couple weeks or a month, and then you're gonna think of something else and you're gonna go for it. So it's like, why it has taken you so long to do this? It's like, why like your job is not done. But I feel like more than that failure, it's like the people that I had around me, that was able to like tell me the keywords at the right time, was able to like push me to keep going. So I will be very selfish to say like this is my success or just my sisters. I mean, it's everyone that like took a minute to talk to me, to like help us out, to contribute in any capacity, to be where we are. And I feel like again, I'm just thankful for life. I'm thankful for pickleball, and I'm thankful like we can be the living story and like be able to share it. That's why documenting like this Pickleball World Cup, because people see the outside, right? I mean, they see our social media, they see like what we are doing, like what our numbers that we achieved, but they didn't see what it took from us, to get where we are. So I feel like we are very humble. I mean, the job for me is not done yet. There's just a little, and we're close. And I mean, of course, like getting to the Olympics and the Pan American Games will be just a dream come true.
So, such a key point there, and something that is just so overlooked is like whether it is your spouse, your partner, whether platonic or romantic, whether it's that small team around you, whether it's your family, it's like those are the critical pieces of when you're down in the mud, who is going to help you crawl out of it, right? And I think that narrative reiterates over and over and over again in every entrepreneur's journey, that anybody listening, I would absolutely double down on those like key 4 or 5 people around you that are really going to fuel you to the next level of success. Absolutely. So our last question, and I'll start with you here, Hercilio, and then we'll go and slide over to Miranda, is what is your greatest fear moving forward?
I think like my only fear is my ambitious. I feel like I always want something else. I want something more, but in the good way. Like I'm
Yeah.
not someone that like seeks luxury or that. It's just more like how can we do better for the world. And sometimes I have to take a step back, and be able to say like, okay, like this is where we at, and not like where I want to be. But I feel like if there is something like I'm very fearful, it's like I just want to make this, as you said, like when you say, hey, you want to compare it with the FIFA World Cup. I mean, soccer is the most player score. I say, hey, we want to be bigger than the FIFA World Cup. People might say like we are crazy, and it's like we'll never like be like as big as soccer, right? But I do believe like there is something there, and there's something about this sport that we can make it happen. So I feel like being ambitious can be my biggest fear.
I mean, listen, we may not have the history of soccer, but damn, do we have the velocity and the people playing? Like it's getting there. So I, as much as it seems crazy now, 10, 20 years looking back, and I think that this is definitely the mentality you have, it's not going to be so crazy after then, right? Miranda, our last closing question I just gave to Hercilio, and I'm going to give to you too, is what is your greatest fear moving forward?
Wow, that's a great question, actually. I don't know, really. It could be like a lot of things. Greatest fear. I don't really like have one because I believe like if you keep like positive right now, like doing the workup and everything, like everything is gonna be great. So I think like we already like went to a rough like path, like if you wanna call it like that. Like we already like learned from all our mistakes. Like my fear like last year was like we're not gonna get these countries. I'm like there's not gonna way we're gonna do it. Like I think like we already like past that. We already learned how to do it. We already know what we need to achieve it. So I believe this year is just gonna be great and amazing. If you keep positive, like we already know what to do, or I hope so.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a great event.
So we have one more bonus question, and I've used this on some guests before, and I think it's a really fun one, and we get really good answers out of it. So Miranda, I'll start with you, and then we'll slide to Hercilio, and we'll see if they relatively match. So this has to really do with like the future, right? And the question is, if someone was writing a book on your life, or in this case scenario, you could say your guys' life together building the Pickleball World Cup, what would you want the last chapter to say and why?
It will be the sibling duo did it. I'm like, just like that, like the family, like the Cabieses family, the Cabieses Foundation, you just like made it came true. Because like when we started, when we just like at the beginning of this like journey, we are like people call us crazy. Like people call us like, what are you guys doing? Like, and nobody believed on us. Like seriously, we were just like calling and calling like crazy. Like made this work, and I think like that's like what I most like about this project, about this journey I used to doing with Hercilio. Like, never imagined doing like a business with him or like this crazy idea. And now look at us here, changed our life completely. And I think that it's gonna be great for us. Like if we finish it like that, we started together and we finished together.
Yeah, and just to complement that,
Yeah.
uh, I think as Miranda said, like it's like there's many people that invent things, but it's different when like an event or something that has been their invention, right, has transcended for many generations. And I feel like what we are doing is not the Pickle World Cup or Pickle Peru or the foundation, right? I feel like we are building a legacy where everybody can be part of and they can be associated with. And besides that, I mean, once you take the suit of like being the founder of this or being the founder of that, it's like we are pickle players and we are humans and we have made a lot of mistakes and people can identify with us. And it's like I feel like pickleball has taken me to like and introduced me to crazy, crazy successful people. And I mean, for me, besides like all the perks I can get with them, I guess, like, I mean, having lunch or dinner with them and be able to talk to them. And they said, like, hey, if I did it, you can do it. And I feel like that's the thing where like people like that are very successful say that to me at my face, and I will be like, you're right.
Well, thank you both so much for being on today. I mean, golly, I think anybody listening right now is probably fired up and fueled to go tackle whatever problems they have in front of them. I mean, from the insights that you guys shared on the Pickleball World Cup, but what you guys are doing beyond that with the foundation and Pickleball Peru, I'm personally just so appreciative of. I think anybody that's in the pickleball space right now has that passion to just want to help the sport grow. And everybody talks about the Olympics, right? Everybody talks about getting the sport there. Everybody talks about really wanting to grow it, but like you guys are really taking action towards that at massive scale. So I just want to thank you both for that. Truly. If people, I know you talked about social media, I know you talked about the website, but if there's anything else that you guys want the people to know that is going on or to find you or even to connect with your foundation, like where can they actually go to get a little bit more information on that?
I think like social media is perfect. Like our Instagram, like Cabieses Foundation or Pickle World Cup official. For the foundation, use like reach out. Like we love to help. We love to like give back to the community. And for the World Cup, just be ready because like this year is gonna be bigger and bigger, and we are gonna be launching the dates and the country soon.
I am fired up for that. Well, thank you both. I hope that you had super, super amount of fun today. And we will definitely stay in touch. That's for sure.
Thank you, Alec.
Thank you so much, Alec.
Give me 2 seconds.